the Max and Herc podcast. Max Predos, Hercules Gomez. You know what today is?
What is today?
Today is the first official Max and Herc podcast where we are available as an audio podcast on iTunes.
The first day of the rest of our lives.
Do you remember how difficult this was of a process? We had a photo shoot. We had another photo shoot.
Can we fill the people in why it was so difficult?
Well, yeah, we had a fallout with our fellow employees.
You had a fallout. You were being a diva about a certain picture.
It was we took some photos. Look, my belief is like if people are scrolling around iTunes and they see the photos that accompany the podcast, it's got to stick out a little bit.
I think it's okay. Stand out for sure.
So what was the other one we want? The one that was really pushing it, where we're like pretending to wave at the paparazzi, right?
No, I think it was when we were dancing.
Oh,
we were doing the tango.
Oh, we were actually embraced doing
interlocked dancing.
It was a tango.
Yeah.
It was like.
Hey, by the way, you look tan.
I do look tan. I just want to also say, if you're not watching the audio version of our podcast, usually Hercules runs circles around me in the fashion.
Well, it's my day off.
Not today. Oh, you're not working today.
Well, I am with you, but nothing else.
So you just let it all go to poop.
Not all go to poop.
By the
way, you look great.
That's right.
What is that, velvet? It's beautiful.
Look at that. What do you think about that?
It looks great.
Thank you. It's not. It's just typical. It's got a nice lining. They give you a allowance. You get that allowance, right? You go to get shopping. You will get it.
I don't.
You're a big shot. Everyone talks about you around here like you run the place.
Well, then why don't I get the allowance?
By the way, you'll get an allowance.
In your next contract.
You'll be shopping in New York and doing it. The beard's kind of filling out, too.
It's coming in.
Is that one day of growing because you're not working today?
No, my wife hates it. My wife hates it. Yeah.
Do what Elsie wants at this point.
Yeah.
For the next... Well, for the rest of your life.
For the next 2 months to 78 years.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's very exciting. What else?
By the way, why do you look so tan?
Oh, I was in L.A. for a few days. My brother-in-law, John Cho, got married. We were losing hope that he would get married, so he did it. Because he's 49.
You can't say that, by the way. This is 2017. You can't say...
What did I say?
It was losing hope that he would...
Well, he's 49. He's like, all right, I'm not going to do it. I guess you could. You could go get married at whatever
Any age.
It's important to get married. It's good.
Is it?
I didn't think I was the marrying kind. Now I could not.
Is it, Max?
Yes.
All right.
Helen and Maxie are still in L.A. for another 6 days. I got here yesterday, and then
what?
And then I'm like, I was excited. Now I wish they were here.
Dude,
I'm just pathetic.
I could see your life going to shambles without them.
Yeah.
Like you having to take care of yourself.
It's bad.
You're just thinking about it right now. You're like, yes, it's bad.
I had the last frozen burrito in the fridge. I don't know what to eat from this point forward.
Nice.
Yogurt expired. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I'll survive. Hey, what do you want to talk about? NBA trade deadline approaching?
It's been getting crazy.
Chris Paul.
You know what I love about this is that's drama. Like players show personality, they show their feelings, they wear their heart in their sleeve. I love that. I wish we had more of that in our soccer culture.
Right.
Or football culture, whatever you want to call it.
If we had like a crazy signing period too like this. It seems like it might be, this is summertime where we're expecting some big moves.
Well, just a lot of hearsay right now, rumors, nothing concrete.
Everyone's focused on Chicharito, whatever he might do.
All of a sudden Schneider, coming into the fold.
Completely unfounded. Chicharito to Galaxy tweets, not from any reliable source. You're not hearing that at all.
Will Ferrell told me they're trying to do everything possible. So
yeah, Will Ferrell making the rounds there. So it's not just the teams in MLS, but it's also LAFC looming large with Guardado, and there's rumors of Wesley Sneijder. This is really, it's cool to see these teams build up, but you want that big name.
Absolutely.
You want the big name guy, not in his mid-30s.
It'll be funny season come July. That's when the transfer window opens, and that's when you'll start.
We're there, July.
No, we're not.
Hey, can I break the fourth wall? We're almost June. I'm not going to tell you the date. Actually, I will tell you the date because we're at this weird situation where we got the Confederations Cup going on, so there's a lot of action going on. But you might hear the podcast in a couple days. But we might react to a goal, so don't be startled.
Yeah,
I will react. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. We're not going to start about Confederations Cup. We're not talking about Mexico. We're not talking about Chicharito. A very sexy topic.
Shoot, go ahead.
U.S. Open Cup.
Ooh.
That's sexy.
Oh, we have the ring to prove it. Both of us.
Yeah. I've been when I first started this business, I mean, I didn't get to call MLS. We didn't have it, but I called U.S. Open Cup games.
Back in the 1900s.
Right. I remember it was like the Galaxy at Fire at Titan Stadium in Fullerton.
Was that when Alexi ran up the
side hill?
Yeah. That's one of the best celebrations ever.
Danny Califf and
Pescadito Ruiz
scoring goals, and There was it was a final there. The Fire won it one year, I remember.
They won it a lot of years.
They were and they got to feel good about it.
They won it their first year. Didn't they do the double in their first year in existence? The MLS Cup.
That's correct.
The Open Cup.
And then won a few years later. That's a big deal, right? Winning the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, I would assume so. You know what gets me is, for a lot of these MLS teams, like if you're an amateur side or if you're a USL or an ASL team, you have to go through such a hard process to actually make it to the final. If you want to win the U.S. Open Cup and you're an MLS side, you know how many games it takes?
5? 4?
5 games.
Yeah.
5 games to win it.
This is not home and away.
It's not home and away. It doesn't get much easier than saying, hey, let's put all our eggs in one basket for 5 games, okay? And we'll get a trophy. We'll get a spot in the
exclusive, supposedly,
right,
CONCACAF Champions League with a shot at Tigres.
With a shot at the region's best, the shot of playing the world's best in the
Pachuca.
World Cup. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to me.
Why are teams doing that? Why do you think? I mean, if you were the coaches, I think
they don't take it seriously.
Are very coachy. They're like they go, hey, they look like this is how we do it in Europe. And
Orlando played at home midweek. Great home crowd. They've got unbelievable home fortress. You know, it's something special. They play against Miami FC. They take them lightly. Miami FC mopped the floor with them. That's what they did.
Yep.
They took it seriously.
Miami FC's pretty good.
And I understand you want to get your young players some games. You know, I understand all that. But it's 5 games to a trophy. Do you know how many teams have never won a trophy in MLS?
It's important to win a trophy.
Just American teams. 4 teams have never won one.
MLS teams.
Yes, American teams. Because you have to remember the Canadian teams can't play an Open Cup. Okay. 8 teams have only won the Open Cup. So
that's something.
But what about the rest? What about the rest? 5 games to get there. I don't understand it. I don't understand. You know how many teams this year will not win one single trophy? And to look back at this and say, hey, we had a chance of it 5 games. Or next year you're going to be watching the CONCACAF Champions League and you're going to be seeing Pachuca, you're going to see all these teams, whoever are in it, the league's best, your league's best, other league's best, and you're thinking to yourself, we could have got there if we took 5 games seriously. Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
And one less seriously, like DC United when they played Christos FC. You don't have to take that 100% seriously because you're dealing with stock guys at the liquor store. That was a great story from the last round that a team from Maryland that made it to the fourth worked their tail off to get there.
In the lead.
They had a 1-zip lead.
Yeah.
This is a good. There's a little look. I always approach this podcast. I know we have a lot of sophisticated MLS American soccer viewers. At least that's what I'm assuming. I keep looking at the camera like there's a third person. It helps me. It helps like Joe Blow. There he is. Hey, Joe Blow and Timmy Blow and Ernesto Samper Pisano, former Chilean president. He's there too.
That's not him.
Senator John McCain is over there.
No.
Senator?
No.
I approach this that we have that audience, but we have some people who don't know what lots going on. So I like to spell it out a bit. And the masses who watch, MLS is just getting some traction with some people there. The U.S. Open Cup will not. That's something that's really internal for MLS. But that's fine. One day maybe that will change. I'm excited, with Cincinnati and their big turnout, Miami FC becoming a story.
I hope Cincinnati does something really special.
That's a great story for us.
30,000 plus midweek. I don't care what sport you are, what part of the United States. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Crowd, Nippert Stadium.
Big crowd.
The thing is, when people will say, okay, do they win an MLS Cup? Well, you say, what's the U.S. Open Cup? It's this tournament that runs alongside parallel, and then they'll get lost on it. But if you can tell them they want a trophy, they want a U.S. Open Cup, that holds some water. So I understand from that perspective they not be locked in the U.S. Open Cup. But I think internally it really is big. And I take myself back to 2009. It was at RFK Stadium, Seattle Sounders, trying to get a foothold in MLS, frustrated in their playoffs. They went and won the U.S. Open Cup, and I really felt, and I know it was the case, this was a team that's identity changed with that trophy. They finally had it. They had this cavern of a stadium that they didn't have anything to put on there. Now finally, 2009 U.S. Open Cup. That meant a lot.
Take the U.S. Open Cup seriously. They take winning a trophy seriously. Now, if you're a fan or a supporter of one of those teams that does not, let your team know. I love that Columbus lost to Cincinnati.
But maybe they are letting them.
I love that Columbus lost to Cincinnati, and afterwards we see pictures and videos of Justin Merrim and Greg Berhalter, fans having to go with them.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's good.
I love that.
Got to be held accountable.
Be held accountable. I'm sure they appreciate playing in an environment where it's taken seriously. I'm sure they love that. They'd rather see that than an empty stadium, nobody cares. I love that. But there needs to be more of that. If you're a fan of one of these teams that does not take it seriously, let your club know. You're 5 games away from a trophy and you let it slip.
Let's take the Crew as an example, but all those guys, Kamara, Merrim, they want to play every game. The players want to play.
Yes.
And they sense this as an opportunity. There's some money that comes with it, but this is a chance to lift a trophy with your teammates.
That's it. Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But let me ask you something.
I'm with you. I'm completely on board with you.
Let me ask you something, okay? It's 5 games. In MLS, you can go a good 2 months, which is almost 8 to 10 games, without doing very well and still have a shot at MLS Cup. Easily.
Yep.
As long as you get into playoffs, correct?
Yep.
So what are you missing? You drop points if that's the... No, we don't want to drop points if that's the issue.
Well, let's argue for the coaches. They're thinking about the bottom line. They're thinking about, if I do lose these 5 games, as far-fetched as it might be, even though we lost Dominic Kinnear this week, coaches generally will be able to hold their gigs there. Now, they would argue that they've got to prioritize MLS first. I think, and I've heard that many times when I talk to coaches, this priority one's MLS, and I'm not going to waver from that.
Do you think a coach would get fired if they won the Open Cup and won a spot into the CONCACAF Champions?
But that's a risk. I mean, it's 5 games. It's still 5 wins. Say you're looking at 5.
What? Most of these guys are going to lose 10 games anyways in the season. Anyways.
But they might be thinking, instead of 10 games, this might open the door to lose 12, 13, which could put them in that dangerous spot. I'm just,
I don't buy it, Max. I don't buy it.
Devil's advocate here.
If I'm a coach, and I hope I never go down that route, but if I was coaching...
Too much work?
It's a very ungrateful job. You're always going to be an idiot to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. You're never going to keep everybody happy. And it's a job with very little job security. You're always on the go. So if I'm a coach, I say 5 games, I win a trophy, I make it the Champions League. There's no way they're fine. I'm taking this seriously.
We've heard through the years of U.S. soccer, and I've seen, look, I did this tournament at the beginning of when I got into this business, and I've seen it now, and I haven't seen a lot of growth. Is there something for U.S. soccer? They always had, more prize money, and that's very difficult to pull off, but to make this tournament even more attractive to the participants, or is this where it's going to stay?
It's a good question. More prize money would be a great incentive for the players, but they already make it very easy for the MLS teams. There's very minimal travel.
It's not a lot of work.
It's region based.
Hey, look, I'm just trying to.
You're not going to have New York Red Bulls going out and playing, the Orange County team in this round of whatever. It's not going to happen unless Orange County surprises and goes a lot further. They make it very easy for these teams. I don't know why they don't take it seriously.
And just being able to go into the CONCACAF Champions League. This is a big deal, but does it feel like it's not being viewed as a big enough deal? Because even that, without a trophy, without anything, you get a shot this tournament where they'll put MLS on a pedestal as well. You get a shot this tournament to be champion of this region. And it's not far-fetched because the MLS teams generally reach the quarterfinals or at least get pretty far in this tournament as well. Even if you win this CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah.
You're sold, Herc. I'm sold too.
An
MLS team is going to win it, but it's probably going to be an MLS team that's probably won it before.
Yeah, chances are. Did you do your bracket?
I'm going to do it. It's not too late because the game.
If you guys want to do a bracket, go on to my Twitter. I put up an empty bracket. You guys can fill it out. Share yours online with us. We'd love to hear him. Mike over here is picking every team I'm picking to win. He's going against. That's his crazy idea.
Don't pick the Rapids because Dallas already beat them.
Yeah, but I put it up last night, but I had them.
Well, I'm going to do it now. I missed it, but there was one game. We're
be honest. If you had the Rapids winning, put the Rapids.
I didn't have they're playing FC Dallas. I had Dallas winning.
Yeah, everybody had Dallas.
So I'm good. All right. Well, we're going to continue. There's a lot of little things that we can put a bow on here this week with regards to the Max and Herc podcast as it applies to MLS and all things American soccer. We will continue that again in our first show, officially available as an audio podcast on iTunes. Here on the Max and Herc podcast, it's a great sport to be involved with because summer it doesn't slow down.
Hey, Max, I'm sorry. So, this is our first iTunes show, as many of you guys know.
Why are you smiling over there?
And I figured if you're tuning in, chances are you know us, but you don't really know us. You probably know a little bit more about me because I just you followed my career a little bit playing soccer.
Oh.
But you don't know Max was involved with TV since the 1900s.
Well, now you do.
You don't know so much about Max, so I thought it'd be fun for.
It wasn't TV when I started. It was like transition.
Hold on.
I thought
it'd be really cool since our first iTunes show. So we give our little listeners a mini Max Bretos interview. So
oh wow!
is
this like a birthday present?
I will be interviewing.
You guys were in on this?
Yes. Max Bretos. So Maximiliano. Maximiliano Pedro de la Cántara Alejo León Bretos Treyes. Your full name.
That's correct. I think Dad had a couple when he was.
Can we repeat that? Maximiliano Pedro de la Cántara Alejo León Bretos Treyes. Online, you may run out of characters on Twitter, but go ahead and tweet that out there.
You guys already know me a lot after that.
All right, so
hey, check out Pedro de la Alcántara, my first middle name. I looked for him on in the internet and apparently did nothing. He's just like Don Quixote, did nothing. Anyway, carry on.
All right. So where were you born?
I was disappointed.
Where were you born?
I was born in Oberlin, Ohio.
Oberlin, Ohio.
Oberlin, Ohio. It's where my mother was going to school. Oberlin College, liberal arts school for dance and music.
Now your parents.
Eric Bogosian, lots of actors went there.
Your parents
Eric Bogosian.
are incredibly smart people.
Yeah.
Okay.
It skipped a generation.
You're a son of Cuban exiles, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My parents came over on the Pedro Pan plane lift when they were kids. So they made a huge sacrifice to come over to this country. They got separated from their parents in Cuba. I can't imagine what that was like. That was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So they had to fend for themselves in the States, and they did. And they eventually went to get to university and get educated. And my mom was going to school there, and that's where I was popped out.
So your parents are in school in Ohio. That's where you popped out. But you actually have a pretty crazy upbringing. Like you've lived in Australia, right? You lived in Australia?
I'm just cracking up. It's like, Robin Roberts here. He's like, well, wait, you had any... I did.
Why? Merida, Mexico?
Yes.
Ohio. Why?
Let me unbutton this.
You getting nervous?
No, it's funny. It's just cool. I don't get to talk about it a lot. When I was 5 years old, my dad was working at Oberlin College. My mom was going to school there. He had two job opportunities. One at the University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Rapids, and one at the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia. Now, think about it. If you were in that situation, you would want to, hey, I don't want to uproot my family too much. I'll go to Iowa. Ohio, it's like 3 states over. My dad said, let's go to Australia.
Well, your dad knew what Iowa was like, probably.
Probably. But it was a great place to grow up, and I loved it. So, I think that's a good lesson for anyone. You get an opportunity like that, take it, and your family will appreciate it. I think it helped me become what I am today. Because I don't work very hard, but I just kind of slip through, and then
What was it like growing up as the American kid in Australia?
A lot of fist fights.
Really?
Initially. And then the accent goes away. I had a full Australian accent after a while. Yeah, by the time I left.
G'day, mate.
I was like a full Australian accent.
Give us a little taste.
Hey, Cobber, did you watch the footy match last night? Oh, no, Eastern Suburbs definitely need a couple new centres, but Canterbury Bankstown look like they're going to win the ring this year. No, seriously, mate. Okay, I'll see you at the Oval tomorrow.
All right. Okay, so let's get back on track. You have this upbringing. Obviously, I don't know how soccer... I don't know if soccer was big in Australia at that time.
It wasn't. I played for the Hakawa, which was a Jewish club soccer team that became Sydney City. Hakawa, Hakoah. So that was where I first group I was affiliated with. I didn't play it a little bit, and then but I moved to rugby. But I moved to rugby playing.
Right, because it's big. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's how you got into soccer event.
Yeah, a little
initially. Bit. All right, cool. So after that, you're an adolescent.
How many more questions you got on that?
We got a good amount. You go to college. We all know where you went to school.
Yes, Florida State. Well, Miami-Dade College, which was then Miami-Dade Community College, and then Florida State University. So, yeah, that was it.
Now,
no masters.
Now, this is when we get into the good stuff. So,
oh boy,
you had a modeling career.
Yes,
and
short-lived.
Short-lived, and you even got into acting. Correct?
Correct.
The Judith Weston Acting Studio.
Yeah, it was. I recommend doing.
Stop looking at my notes.
I recommend doing theatrical work to anyone, regardless of whatever field you're in.
What made you want to get into that?
Just the challenge, and we put up actual productions. We went up there, and we did.
I know what was going on.
We did Shakespeare. We did everything.
You were in Iowa. They were like, "You're easy on the eyes."
Yeah. It could have been all different living in Iowa. But listen, you should go take some theater classes.
I played.
They're good. It's a lot of reading.
I'm good on drama and theatrics. I've got a good grasp of it.
Okay, just to do better dives inside the. But I enjoyed it a lot, and it gets the the juice is flowing.
I bet you were
Works out new
I bet
muscles.
you were cleaning up shop in LA, acting, modeling.
Modeling was before I got to LA. That was before
Where were you modeling?
I was in Miami, and then you go to Italy. They go to Italy and do it. So I went 2 summers to Italy, and it was going really well. But I said, I got to start pursuing my career that I want to get into, which was this.
So, what was your biggest gig in modeling?
I did this one thing for Clark Shoes. That was pretty good. A lot of times we had to make ends meet. So in Italy, what you do is you go to a club and you dance on a go-go box, and you get at that time 150,000 lira, which is like $100. But that's how it works.
Go-go dancer?
Yes. You want a great modeling story? You want a great modeling story?
Yes.
All right.
Always.
So I was about to leave Milan, and there was a Philips. The Philips Electronics ad. He goes, "This is your biggest." The guy was Massimo. He goes, "Listen, Max, you've got a great opportunity. This for Philips. It could be 4 commercials. You could make $80,000. It's going to change your life." I go, "This is great." He goes, "It's you and one other guy. You've got to go to the audition and just nail it, and then you will be on your way. You have to stay in Milan another week, and we will take it from there." So he does that.
Did he really sound like
He
this?
sounded like that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So there was us 2 guys and 2 girls. One of us was going to get it. 1 girl, 1 guy. So they partner us up, and then the guy, he's like, el voz del estadio, going, "All right, Max and Kirsten, this is what you got to do." So he goes, I want you to embrace her like the shower is coming over you. You're in a rainstorm, and it's all romantic. So we're like, move your shoulders like you're dancing in the rain. So I'm doing this, and then my mouth opens up. I'm like, ah. So the guy goes, "Max, could you please close your mouth?" I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. So I try to keep my mouth, and I'm like doing it. Oh, the rain's coming over you. My mouth opens up again. I'm like, I don't know why. And the guy reminds me again. I look at the girl. I go, "I just messed this up for both of us. I'm sorry."
What did she say?
She goes, she was not happy.
Right.
'Cause she had the same discussion with her own booker
so
about.
you blew it for this girl.
So I blew it for everyone because my mouth. I don't know why my mouth just went open.
Well,
There you go.
I guess it happened.
Hey, are we going to talk about coaches or what?
Hold on. So you get to Fox. Okay?
Yes.
But it wasn't as an on-air talent.
No.
What was it?
I was answering phone calls. Yeah, I was just a clerical.
Somebody told me you talked your way in front of the camera.
It was pretty. What happened? I got a programming. This is a kick in the pants. There was a programming department where one guy programmed the side for Fox Sports en Español, and I did Fox Sports World. We just put schedules together. I was on the English side, and on the Spanish side was John Laguna, who now is the play-by-play guy for the Fox Sports. So
yes.
That's what we started at a very small level. And then Fox Sports World started coming, and they had like 1 guy, and they have so much production. I walked up and said, could I call some soccer games? They go, they kind of need somebody. And then I said, I'll do it for free. So I called soccer games for like 6 months for free. Finally, they paid me. But that's kind of how I got in there. I was very lucky when it happened. Think about it. There's never been anything like that. And also, we're starting a soccer channel in English in the United States, and we have games from all over.
So what year did they start the soccer channel? The only one at that time.
It was 98, 99?
So 98. So you're on this soccer channel. I mean, what was the soccer media landscape back then in 1900s? What was it like?
It was not existent. Back then, there was a Monday night. Stop talking to me like I'm like 50 years older than you, by the way. What was it like? What was it like to see a Triceratops that close? So there was a Monday night game on ESPN, a Premier League game, and then there was some Champions League with Derek Ray and Tommy Smith would pop on a little bit, and then that was it. Everything else was yet to go to Telemundo Univision, which I watched all the time. I watched World Cups with Andres Cantor. That's how you watch the games. You'd watch all that. So otherwise, you'd get videotapes and watch soccer games. I was always like traveling as much as I did. I said I love soccer just to see the different cultures and different changes. I go, that's what drew me in, to see the World Cup where a team from Algeria could play a team from Germany. That was compelling to me, just the contrast and everything. And the international aspect drew me in. And then I said, this is what I wanted to do. And then we got to cover games from England, Germany, Italy, Spain, Chile, Argentina, Copa Mustang, and Colombia.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, there was literally one channel devoted to soccer back then. And this guy was like the face of it. And I used to watch him.
Oh, I've dragged you into my era.
Yeah. What was your favorite league to cover back then?
The one thing I looked forward to, it was we did Fútbol Argentino, the Clásico de Domingo.
Argentine.
Man, it was when River Boca came around. The first time I saw River Boca, there was the guy who I modeled my commentary after, Norberto Araujo, who was the Argentine. Is it Nestor? Norberto Araujo. I think it's Norberto Araujo. And he was great because he'd speak in Spanish very well. Today we have Independiente and Racing from the President Perón Stadium. Both teams come in needing a victory, and he spoke very matter-of-factly. And then the game started. He goes, aquí el Presidente el Perón, Independiente el Racing, la Academia buscando. And you're like, wow! That's what I want. That's who I want to be.
Actually, a lot of you guys may know this. When I started playing with the Galaxy, you used to be the play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
And
that was off the rails.
yeah, and your signature call was, yeah!
I would do goal, and then I would then go, yes! The origin of that, there was a guy, I'd watch dart competitions, and they'd throw, and they'd get the good darts. And then it was Sid Waddle, and he goes, oh, he needs a double 20. Triple tops. Yes! That's where I got it from.
So while you're doing this whole Fox soccer thing,
Mike's not impressed with that answer?
you're still trying to get an acting career going, right?
No.
Yes, really. Hold on. Tell us about Splatter Factor. Come back. Max, come back.
5 words I never expected to hear when I started this podcast. Tell us about Splatter Factor.
Sit down. Tell us about Splatter Factor.
All right, it was a paintball show. Everyone at home's going, oh my God, what is it? My Splatter Factor. Splatter Factor. When you get hit by a paintball, it splatters all over you.
Right. So you actually have like an actor's biography.
Like a SAG card or something?
Yes.
I think I almost had one. And then I was like,
it's Splatter Factor's on there.
Yeah. You know who was on Splatter Factor with me? What's her name?
She's a very close friend.
Joanna. No, she's not. I don't know her. Joanna Krupa. Remember? She's like on all these reality shows. She was like the co-host on that. So she went through the roof. You know Joanna Krupa? Is that it? Let's find it out. But she's like going to be the Battle of the Network Stars. I saw her name on there. And then she was on a reality show that was very popular. Very good looking. She was a Polish girl. Yeah. Joanna Krupa.
Nice.
Model who became a big star, and then she's reality. She would not pick me out of if I watched her. She would go, "Get away from me!"
Yeah, so she's.
I go, "Hey, I just worked. Remember Splatter Factor?"
She's Sofia Vergara. You're Fernando Fiore.
No, I'm like
yes, that's
Fernando Lopez, whatever.
Okay, so I actually I'm trying to confirm. You left Fox.
Time out. I'm trying to confirm.
Yeah, I'm trying to confirm. You left Fox for ESPN 2010, correct? And,
yes.
And up until then, you were the longest-serving broadcaster at Fox?
Was it true?
I'm asking you.
I imagine, well, it had to be.
Longest-serving sports broadcaster at Fox.
We were kind of set adrift from we were Fox cable channels. We were set adrift from all the big-timers. So Joe Buck probably has that. Yeah. So.
Okay. So in between that, you did Fox, you worked for...
He's got like a stack
I got a stack. You did... MMA Live, Outside the Lines, college football. You were doing everything.
Try to come here and do everything.
WWE? How'd you get to the WWE?
WWE gave me a call, and I worked for them. And it was 2007. I quickly found out it wasn't for me. But it was nice. It was a nice second income at the time. But I would travel. I would go to a city like Shreveport, Louisiana, and I would sit around backstage in the arena, and I'd do like 2 little things, and I'd go home.
Oh, sounds like my job here.
Yeah, but when you... No, it doesn't. You're nonstop. When you have a job like that, you're like, I ain't going to last here very long.
Well, it's crazy. You've been in so many different things. Sky Sports, you had a show, Jack of All Trades. I don't even know what that is.
Well, it was a Sky Sports show. It was called Soccer AM Sports. It was with Andy Goldstein and Helen. It was a big show there, and I'd pop in. I'd be their American sports correspondent. But I'd get recognized sometimes for that show from English folks traveling. Go, excuse me, are you Max? Are you Soccer AM All Sports with Helen and Andy? Oh, you're hilarious, mate. Or they go, you're the worst thing on television. Just want to let you know that. Thanks. Do you want to buy me a beer? They go, yeah, absolutely. After that.
So you come to ESPN. Do you come directly into soccer?
I wanted to come into soccer.
Okay.
Let's do another podcast talking about the soccer stuff.
No, well, hold on. Well, I just want to know.
Because that's the thing. Because I think people think I wanted to get out of soccer, and that is not the case.
No, that's what I'm saying. My thing is, you're a Sports Center anchor now. Like, how did that happen? If you're mainly a soccer guy and you come here, how does that happen?
Well, I came here to do soccer. I actually spoke with John Skipper, our president, ahead of the 2010 World Cup, and he wanted to get me in there. The timing was a little bit off. But I figured I was going to come here and do soccer. And then it didn't quite work out, and then you kind of have to you need to have a work week. So I go, all right, we started doing the ESPN News, and that became the work week. And once you started getting into that, at ESPN, you really get identified by that, and you can't just say, all right, I'm going to stop to do soccer. And it was tricky to kind of go bouncing back. So you just kind of got in that lane. And
now, we talk about it a lot, week after week, how you have to stay on top of all these sports. What's the hardest part of that? Is it actually just being informed with all these sports, or is it focusing in on one thing?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is you can't focus on everything, but finding out the important stuff. And like for on a week like this, where this NBA is going on, I think all that other stuff like baseball and anything happening in NASCAR. Honestly, some of the soccer stuff I got to put on the back seat, even though I will watch soccer. That's the passion, and I love MMA. But some of that stuff you got to put on the back burner and just focus on what everyone's saying in the NBA right now. Look at the important thing, the star power. Don't get caught on, say it's the NBA season, worry about the Cavs and the Warriors. Don't get too caught up on what happened in the Pistons and the
Bucks.
Hornets game. Yeah, all right. It might be something good. Just go, focus on the meat and potatoes, because otherwise you'll lose your marbles.
But you're back into soccer.
Yeah, look, man, I told you, I don't know if I told you this enough, but this podcast means the world to me because I get to talk about soccer on it. And I don't get that outlet a lot. So I watch a lot of it. If you watch a lot of soccer and you don't use it at work, you have to have a conversation and say, right, I got to curtail this. I'll tell my wife, I'm not going to get up at 6 a.m. to watch European football if I'm not going to talk about it on my show later. So this allows that to do it, and because I think in a podcast like this, we got to, even though we don't talk about European stuff, we got to stay focused on everything, so we don't get caught, without something to say.
Well, that's good. I'm happy you're here with us, and I'm happy now everybody knows the Max Bretos that I know the.
Aw, isn't that sweet what he did?
The Maximiliano Pedro de la Cántara Alejo León Bretos Treyes that I know.
Maximiliano Pedro de la Alcántara.
What you've come to find out now is Max is a worldly man.
But that in a bottle of...
He was a child...
That in a bottle of Jack Daniels gets you a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Go-go dancer turned reality host of the much acclaimed Splatter Factor.
Wait a minute. I know.
Turned famous Sports Center anchor turned... Now the host of the Max and Herc, and now you know him.
Wait a minute, you're auditioning for something. This is like an audition for Good Morning America or something. You're carrying on like
I just wanted everybody, I thought it'd be cool. First iTunes episode, now everybody knows
I appreciate that. Can I do that for you next week?
No, absolutely not. Wait, by the way, you can't just Google stuff like this for Max Bretos. I had to... Listen. Really...
I'll get you a little bit. Not that I'm getting revenge, because I'll tell you what, it was nice to talk about it, because you just gobble your
well, most of our viewers, our listeners don't know what it was like to be alive in the 1900s. So
right.
So it's good for them to get a taste of what it was actually like TV life. Max Bretos' 24-hour soccer channel. You turn it on, he's still there talking about Argentina, probably talking about Boca River. 7 hours later, he's there talking about Lanús versus Racing. So
by the way, I once broadcast there 8 games in a day. How's that?
Dude, I just did my first, and I wanted to go home after halftime.
Lots of coffee. By the way, the 5th game was a Chilean game. I looked at the guy I was broadcasting with. I go, nobody's listening to us. Nobody is listening to Huachipato and O'Higgins at 11 p.m.
Huachipato
he goes,
O'Higgins.
He looks at me and goes, you're right. Goal, Huachipato!
Well, now you guys know. I'm glad you got a little...
Thanks for doing that, man. That was
Maximiliano Bretos.
If we have any time left, we'll talk about something else when we come back.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shades.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Back here on the Max and Herc podcast, we have a special segment that will run probably only once. It's the Two Doms.
The Two Doms.
We're going to talk about...
Bringing it back to your go-go days, huh?
Dom Dwyer, Dominic Kinnear. Let us begin. Dominic Kinnear no longer in charge in San Jose. Jesse Fiorinelli, who was brought in, high-profile guy from AS Roma to shake things up. Well, he's done that. Chris Leach, who was an executive position, now has moved on as the permanent head coach to replace him. We'll get to that. Some people aren't so hot about it. Jeff Cameron tweeting this. FYI, Dominic Kinnear didn't deserve to be let go. GM has always wanted his job. Get your blank together. And while I was on here, I also saw Jeff Cameron is the new Paul Mitchell Mitch man.
Oh, he's been that for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very handsome. Paul, Jeff, we look forward to getting you on the show and talk about that and a few things. So there's some people who are uproared. How do you feel about the move for Dom?
Well, I don't necessarily share Jeff's, I guess, vision with this. Or
line in the sand here.
Yeah, opinion on it. I don't know if Jesse Fioranelli wants his job. I don't think that's the case. And listen, I have no problem with Dominic Kinnear, getting fired. If you want to make the choice, you're well within reason. The timing is odd. They just beaten Rouse Salt Lake. They were above the red line going into playoffs. Dominic Kinnear's one of the winningest head coaches in MLS history. Yes, his record in what is now referred to as MLS 2.0 leaves a lot to be desired. That's fine. If you want to fire him, go ahead and fire him. But a struggling fan base, a struggling team organization like San Jose, that in 8 years has made playoffs, or 7 years has made playoffs once, had one successful campaign, and had the winningest coach in MLS history and a player who scored 123 goals in that franchise.
That's a lot.
And not do anything. You don't send a message by saying, here are the keys to the kingdom to Chris Leach. You don't send a message doing that. You don't tell your fan base, we're changing direction, things are going to change, this is going to be something new, stay with us. You're not sending that message. Atlanta comes into the league, who do they bring in? Tata Martino. That sends a message.
Yeah.
That says we're a different club.
We're going for a guy that is up for grabs for any league.
That's sending a message.
Or national team.
Chris Leach, he went in the span of 2 years from being interim GM, assistant GM, technical director, to all of a sudden head coach. No coaching experience. There are, and for argument's sake, saying you could have gotten anybody. You could go out there and get any foreign coach you want who has the pedigree, the profile, whatnot. But there are so many different American coaches who could have been deserving of that job. And this is not a knock on Chris Leach. I don't know him personally. This is Jesse Fioranelli and the environment that he's creating there. Chris Leach is in an improbable position. If he does well and great, that's great. But if not, it's always going to be like, why Chris Leach? What have you done?
Right.
What has he done to deserve this? There are guys like Tony Miola, Eric Winalda, Robin Fraser, Chris Armas. The list goes on and on and on. Brad Friedel. Casey Keller wants a coaching job. There's so many different guys you could have gone to with more of a pedigree, with more of a coaching resume, that have been going through the ranks. They know the first thing about coaching. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know Chris Leach or his coaching knowledge, okay? But you're not sending a message to the San Jose Earthquake fan base with this move. You're not sending a positive message. I don't know Jeff's motives behind that tweet. I don't think Jesse Fioranelli wants to coach.
No.
Not at all. But
it'd be more fun being in his position.
This move tells me, at least my personal opinion, that he wants a coach he can control.
Wow. That's strong. And I think Chris Leach obviously moving up the pecking order within that organization, probably being a guy who's had to go in line with what Fioranelli wants to do, afforded him this chance. You've got to stand on your own merits if you're a coach. I think there are a lot of coaches who had very little coaching experience in this league and others that have done well. So I wouldn't use that against them. Getting back to the Dominic Kinnear fire, I'm okay with it as it stands. I think they had that great team in 2011 with Lenhart and Wondolowski, and they didn't have a lot of talent.
The Goonies.
They didn't have a lot of talent between then and now. This year they had talent, and even though they're in the playoff position, I've been frustrated with the way they're playing. I just want to see a little better and consistency as well, and it hasn't been there, so I'm okay with it. But I think and I hate to keep agreeing with you all the time with these things, but when you put all those ducks in a row and you have this high-profile guy who you brought from a bigger, more successful league like the Serie A, and now he has this vision of where to go to the next coaching job and does something that's not very sexy. As a San Jose fan, you got to be a little frustrated because you go, we're going to learn along with this
Max,
guy.
Would you feel insulted as a San Jose Earthquake fan? Like, you weren't happy with Dominic Kinnear. You wanted him out. Okay. But who comes in, are you happy with who comes in? Do you not feel just a tad bit insulted by it?
Yeah. Well, I'd be frustrated. And I know I met Chris and I've met many times past. He's a good guy, and he's put his time in MLS, and I think he could be successful. But I think under these circumstances, it's not the right choice. Right now, the Western Conference is wide open. San Jose has a chance to stake a claim. They're in this void with so many other teams that are not coming to the forefront and becoming real players that you say, hey, this is a team that in MLS I want to watch. This is a team that you got to be ready to make the postseason, and they're not there. They got a great new stadium. That may be the best stadium in the league. It is spectacular to be there.
The San Jose one?
Yeah. It's great. Well, you sit there, it's sunken in. To watch a game there is pretty cool. It's not real big.
Great bar.
Great bar, too. No, I couldn't partake. But there's a lot of pressure, and then this is not a high-pressure move to get that guy in there.
If you look within the organization, I don't know exactly how it is with Ian Russell. He went to Reno, and they have an affiliate program with San Jose Earthquakes. I don't know if he's still under contract with the Earthquakes, but he was such a good soldier for them. You know, he could have gotten a shot. Steve Ralston could have gotten a shot. Steve Ralston's, San Jose, Houston, the Revolution, wealth of experience. He's been putting his time in. So many different coaches could have gotten a shot within that organization alone, with ties to that organization. And Chris Leach gets it. I hope Jesse Fiorinelli treats the situation with respect, and he explains himself. He explains his motives.
He's got to be out there. He's got to put himself out there and explain explain his vision.
If he does not, he's insulting the intelligence of all the media and the fan base even more.
Yeah.
Okay? And listen, I'm sorry, but there has to be an explanation. There has to be.
Yeah. And they'll put. I think people like us, we could put demands on that. And maybe we can talk to him here on the Max Herc podcast to get a better idea.
I don't think he likes me.
He doesn't? Well, that's going to make it even better. I'll make the request.
He didn't take kindly when I said Chris Wondolowski was being wasted on that team.
You mentioned the fans of San Jose might be the big loser here because of that. But the guys...
Great fans.
Yeah.
Great fans.
I think even more so the guys that have gone through the process. You mentioned Ian Russell and obviously Steve Ralston and so many other guys. Those guys are going through the process the right way to maybe get that opportunity, and not getting it. It's a setback for them. It's a big setback because there are great candidates out there, at least candidate-wise, that deserve a chance. Okay, let's talk about the other Dom in our special segment, one time only, the two Doms. Fontenot is laughing up a storm there. All right, we talked about this topic, and we weren't all on the same page whether we should talk about it. It was brought up by our superiors. I kind of liked it because I do remember when Jurgen Klinsmann called in the dual nationals, the German-born guys like Jermaine Jones,
Timmy Chandler,
Fabian
Johnson.
There was a backlash. That was coming out about these guys that, hey, are these guys are going to fight for the American flag? They're German kids, but they have an American parent, so by all means they are American and they have their right to play for this country. That has subsided, and they've become part of the fabric, an important part of the fabric of this U.S. national team. Dom Dwyer now, who does not have an American parent, or finally got his naturalization, and he went through that process. It's a long process to become an American citizen, and he went through it. He is now there. But there hasn't been any mention of that sort of backlash towards Dwyer with regards to, hey, the anti-Americans saying, hey, why isn't it?
Good. I'm glad it's a non-issue. And with the German Americans, the fact that it was an issue made me sick. Oh, they're only playing for the opportunity. What's being American? It's the land of opportunity.
This country is a unique set of circumstances with regards to playing the team, and that is very appealing when you look at it.
Am I going crazy, though?
You're not going crazy, but I think there's some people saying, like, hey, Dom, if there's a guy who could really help the U.S. national team.
Dom Dwyer on social media. Dom Dwyer loves this country. Dom Dwyer came to school here. He was given an opportunity to play professional soccer here. Everything he has to his name is because of this country. He met his wife here, also a dual citizen, had his child here. You follow him, you know how excited he is to represent the country. I don't see the issue. For me, I want guys like Dom Dwyer who take opportunity by the horns and make it their own. I want to be American is an opportunity. This is the land of opportunity.
You got the back row riled up right now.
Well, it just bothers me. It just bothers me.
We'll see.
It just bothers me. We've had colleagues, and former colleagues who have played soccer, men and women's national team, with the U.S. and have called out this sector of I don't even want to say players, of people, and it disgusts me. It disgusts me. I don't see the issue. I'm glad there's been no issue. I wish Dom well. I actually think he's a player we need.
Well, that to me changes everything. If it's a player who can take that opportunity he needs, I think that's what people will be okay with. If there's a guy who's going to sort of make up the numbers and do that, I think some folks will probably say, hey, wait, let's get a guy, American kid who gets that opportunity. I think in the world of international soccer, we've seen in so many countries, you get a guy who goes, especially if he's done it the right way, get him in there. But it's got to be a guy who earns his keep, and he's going to get that chance at the Gold Cup, and we'll see how he performs.
To me, being American isn't a birthright, it isn't anything of that. It's a feeling. So if Dom feels American and he wants to represent this country, and he obviously just take a second to look at the kid and where he's come from, how far he's come, and how he's done it. That's the American dream.
It's a big responsibility, and based on what you said, as you keep a closer eye on it, he has done it all the right way. And look, both of us are first-generation American, correct? So we're a sliver away from being in his situations too. So I don't, without being, hypocritical at all. And I just thought it was interesting to talk about it because of what happened then. But you hope the opportunity is falls on the right set of shoulders. By all accounts, it will.
Absolutely.
Right. And we will leave it at that. What's going on over there? Nothing. All right. Just wanted to check. We're watching some sports. Just watching the NBA trade deadline. You waving me off there? I know what I was going to say. All right, so let's get to some bookkeeping, some important bookkeeping. We got the numbers for our first week in iTunes. Not bad, but could be a lot better.
Okay.
So we need your help. If you're enjoying the podcast, it's going to keep getting better. We're wielding some power here. People know who he is. A month ago, Hercules was walking around ESPN and go, who is that guy? Who is he? He's really
is that what they
smart
were saying?
Comments? No, they weren't saying that. Everyone loves you. Over at SportsCenter, they're loving you because of the segments you've been doing. So maybe we could do that more. But we need to get up there. So we need you to subscribe to the Max and Herc podcast. Spread the word. We'll get it out there on social media. We want to get up there higher, and that'll certainly help us provide the best possible podcast to you. And there it is.
Woo!
There's the artwork that
Subscribe, please. Please don't let me get fired.
You know what I said?
Subscribe.
I don't know if we're hitting these notes here, but I said we're making soccer cool. Would you agree? Maybe that photo. Maybe when we sit at this table, not so much.
Is this go-go dancer pose here?
No, that is hard as nails post. That's hey man, you just took my parking spot.
I like your.
What's your pose here? Yours. This is very 1980s, like pop rock, kind of like
pop rock.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
What's up with my pocket square, by the way? Look how high that is. What a loser.
I know. I look a lot.
Subscribe, please.
Subscribe so you get more incredible stuff like this.
Because what number are we in the?
165.
165.
And I was told that's terrible.
That's terrible. Is it?
That's for all sports.
We're better than 166. I'll take it.
I tell you, there's people. There were people behind us, but we want to go there and look. We don't always have to talk about soccer. We'll talk about whatever. Hey, man, enjoy the interview.
Hey,
thank you very much.
Oh, that was awesome. I'm glad people got to know Maximiliano Pedro de la Cantera Alejo León Bretos Treyes.
Okay, thank you. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. It's still available on ESPN FC. Say hello if you see us out in public. Okay, we won't bite.